This is Louise for MMA Crazy, and I'm here with Veronica Macedo. How are you finding it here in Hamburg? Obviously, you're replacing Jermaine Durandamy and fighting here in Hamburg on Saturday. So, how are you finding it here so far?
Well, I lived in Hamburg for a while, so for me it's super incredible. I used to live in England, in Nottingham, and right after I moved to Hamburg for I think about 6-7 months. So to fight here and having my first pro fight in Germany, it's really emotional for me. You know, it's really awesome.
So originally you're Venezuelan, aren't you?
Yeah. I was born in Venezuela.
Okay. So where are you living now?
In Poland.
Okay. So I mean that's just kind of not very far at all, really.
No, it was like a 5-hour drive, mostly because we took the wrong exit. But it's a little bit shorter than that, but about 5 hours.
Okay. So when did you arrive here then?
Yesterday around 4 p.m.
Okay.
I was late. The wrong exit thing again.
So obviously you're making your UFC debut, and I mean, like you said, you've had a busy morning. So what's it like, kind of doing all this media? Obviously, it's something different for you.
Yeah, usually like go in weigh-in day and then kind of just weigh in, go to the hotel, eat, and just show up to the fight. So it's been really different with media, of course, pictures and everything, like a lot more attention, but it's been great attention. Everyone has been so lovely that I like it.
So you're enjoying your time at the moment?
Very much.
Okay, so I mean, how did the call come about for you? Like we said, you're replacing Jermaine Durandamy. So how did this call come about for you to make your UFC debut here?
Actually, they were looking for a fight for me before Jermaine got injured. They were looking for a fight, but they didn't find a fighter for me. And then with the other girl canceling, they're like, okay, well, we have this one now. Do you want to take it? I said, of course, you know? Yeah, just count me in. So I'm pretty excited.
So you're facing Ashlee Evans-Smith. So what do you think of her as being your opponent for your UFC debut?
I think it's actually a pretty great opponent for me. She's ranked pretty high in the UFC, so you know, obviously, if I score a win against her, it already puts me pretty high. So it's a great startup, and I think my style of fighting works good against her style, you know, and so I'm pretty excited for how it turns out. Of course, MMA it's unpredictable. You never know what's gonna happen, but I think this is gonna be a great matchup for me.
So she's had 2 fights in the UFC. Obviously, the first one didn't go her way, and she's had a split decision win over Marilyn Renault. So, yeah. What did you watch her? Did you watch tape on your opponents? And if so, what did you think of her performances?
Yeah, of course I watch tapes on everyone because you want to see like what you're gonna fight against. It's not like surprise fight day. No, I've noticed that mostly not to focus too much on technique, because obviously the more you train, you better your technique, you might change your strategy, you might fight totally different from what you've ever fought. So what I always try to focus on is the type of fighter they are. And I see that she's the type of fighter that conveys a lot of confidence. But I don't think it's real confidence. I think it is fake. So not that I'm saying like she's fake or anything. I just think that, you know, you always have to show confidence when you're fighting, and she does that, but a little bit too much. And I think during the fight I will break this down, and I will use that as my advantage.
So what kind of, obviously you said that she kind of puts on like a false confidence. So what kind of weaknesses do you think that maybe is covering?
Just when you have any type of fake, it's because you want to cover something, and it's something that she might not be comfortable, whether it's her stand-up, her ground game, or maybe just everything together. But I think it's mostly her toughness. I don't think she is as tough as me, and of course not saying any techniques or anything, just straight up, she's not as tough as me. And I don't think anyone is, you know. I feel like if you're gonna finish me in a fight, I have to be able to, like, you have to leave me on the floor, not being able to move, because I will not stop. I will never stop, and that's not something I see in a lot of fighters, and I think that's what she doesn't have.
Do you think that toughness maybe, stands you out against, all of these other girls? Do you think that toughness is something that is one of your big strengths?
Yes, of course. Like I said, game plans change, techniques change. One day, for example, I sometimes fight southpaw, I sometimes fight orthodox. It all depends on who you're fighting, how you're going to fight, what you're going to do. But in the end, it's a fight. And game plans, you can always plan a fight in your head, and then one punch can change everything. So it's all about, because it's a fight, how tough you are in the end. So I think that's a big strength that I have.
So do you prepare yourself for all these different outcomes? Like you said, obviously one punch could change things. Do you prepare mentally in terms of how you think the fight might unfold?
Obviously, before fights, I try to think of every scenario. It helps, it helps you be more prepared for whatever is going to come. Of course, the more scenarios you think, the better if something unexpected comes, you're prepared for. So I always try to think about every possible scenario that can happen in a fight. But I think this fight's going to go my way, so I'm not too worried.
So has anything changed in the run-up to this fight? With it being your UFC debut, have you changed anything in terms of preparation for the fight?
I didn't have much time to prepare, actually. I got a call 2.5 weeks before, so obviously 1 week here, and then just the whole coming to the fight. So I didn't have much time. So it's been mostly strategy and mostly mental preparation. Of course, I've trained and stuff, but it's when you have such a short amount of time, there's not so much you can do other than you can completely change and fight totally different, but it's all up to how your head leads up to the fight.
And is there anything specific in that short amount of time that you've been preparing for?
It's a different fight because it's a UFC fight, of course. So there's the media, there's the pictures, there's the lights, there's the cameras, the shows, but in the end, it's still a fight. And that's something that I will never forget, even if I win whatever many fights. This will always be a fight. It's not about anything else but stepping in the cage. So I think fighters forget that. They get lost in this, but I feel like I won't. Even though it's my debut, and of course pressure is very high, and it's something very new, but I think still it's a fight.
So you're not worried about, octagon jitters, making your UFC debut, that kind of pressure that comes on you, and especially you're the first fight on the card as well. Does that give you any added pressure?
I didn't know it was the first fight on the card. I actually don't even know what fighter I am on the card. But no, that means I finished quicker and I can go home. Yeah. So I don't think there's any added pressure. I mean, in Germany, everyone that watches MMA fights, they love to drink. So yeah, they won't be as crazy. So in the end, it's an advantage.
Yeah, it's not the first fight. How many fights in?
I think 6.
Is it 6? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was way off.
Yeah.
So they might be already drunk by then.
Yeah, so then it's awesome.
I mean, how do you think the fans are going to be? Obviously, you lived here in Germany for a while.
Yes, and I remember my first fight was in Germany. So I was the co-main event, and Germans went crazy. They were like, anything that you did, they would yell. Wow. So it got me so excited. In the end, it didn't make me more nervous. I thought it would, but in the end, it just gave me so much extra strength. And I feel like 6th fight, they're gonna be good to be screaming.
So at 5-0, I think you are, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, what would a win, in UFC, your debut in Hamburg, what would that mean to you?
It'd mean I get another fight.
Yeah. Would it mean something extra special, maybe being here in Hamburg?
Yeah. I said Hamburg was very special for me because it is. I met my future husband here. Wow. And yeah, of course I lived here, and there's so much emotions attached to this fight. And since it being Germany and fighting here the first time, I am super excited. It's a fight that it was sent by God. Wow. As an emotional gift for me, so I'm very happy.
So how do you envision getting your hand raised? If you do at all, I mean, do you picture kind of how this fight might end?
It's hard to, like I said, I try to do every scenario I can in my head, but it can go first round, it can go second or third, it can go decision, but in the end, it doesn't matter how you get it, it's just getting it. So hopefully I do.
So we'll have to wait and see. Thank you so much for taking the time out, and good luck. See you Saturday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.